Hello, Julie here, and thank you for joining me here on my YouTube channel today. Today I am creating a scrapbooking layout, and this is to go into my family album. I'm actually making this album as a birthday present for my mum. She's turning 90. So this is actually a photo of my dad who passed away about 30 years ago, and I'm going to put him in the album for her. Now to start, I'm going to use this stencil. I don't know what brand it is. I've thrown the packaging away. I've masked it off because I don't want to use the flowers. I just want to use that grid sort of pattern. And I'm going to use my palette knife and put some of this deco foil transfer gel duo through that stencil. And it goes, when you apply it, it's white. And then you set it aside to dry, and when it's dry it's clear, so that's how you know it's ready to use. Now you can use this gel for foils, but today I'm going to use it for gilding flakes. So I'm making a type of L, I suppose, down the sort of left hand side of my layout. The background paper is from Uniquely Creative, and it's from the Choose Your Own Adventure paper range, and it's called No Limits. So I'm adding this duo paste in a type of L in the sort of to the left, and then I'm just adding a bit more randomly around the edges. I've used an emery board to file around the edge of my photo to give it that nice white border. I wanted a dark blue paper to sort of put a very fine mat around my photo, and there wasn't one in the kit, so I dug into my scraps or stash and dug this paper out. I don't know what brand it is. I've cut the branding strip off somewhere, I would say. Anyway, I'm going to cut that. My photo is 5 by 7. I'm cutting this pattern paper 5 1/4 by 7 1/4. Now I'm going to take another piece from the collection, and I'm going to cut a piece that is about 6 inches by about 8 inches. I'm also going to cut some pattern paper strips. So the dark blue, I'm going to cut 2 strips of that are 1/2 inch wide, and the wood grain paper there to the right, I'm going to cut 2 strips of that are 1 inch wide. So they're going to be 12 inches long. All of them are going to be 12 inches long, and I will trim them down to the size that I want when I've got my layout assembled. Now I'm going to use my distress tool to distress the edges of all of those pattern papers. If you don't have a distress tool, you can use the edge of your scissors, the blades, and this particular distress tool is discontinued now, I think, but Tim Holtz has one as well that you can find. I'll put a link to these products in the description box if you're interested. So here are all my papers distressed, and this is the Tim Holtz distressing tool. I'm going to start work on my photo now. I'm going to add some scrap cardboard to the back of that. I'm going to use the art glitter glue to do that. Then I am going to attach my photo to the darker blue cardstock, and then I'm going to attach that to the other lighter pattern paper. So I'm actually putting cardboard behind my photo and then double matting it. Now my duo gel is dry, I'm going to add my gold foil flakes. Now to do this, all you have to do, because that duo gel is sticky when it's dry, all you have to do is just take your flakes and rub them over, and they will stick to that sticky gel. It can take a bit to get them to come off actually. You have to really work on being careful where you put your flakes and how thick you let them stay on there. Once I've rubbed all over with the flakes and I've got them nicely covered, all the glue is not sticky anymore because it's covered with the flakes, I will use a thick or a fluffy brush to just brush any excess off. These flakes will stick wherever there is the gel. So if you had some gel on the back of your stencil when you did your stenciling, or if you got gel somewhere where you didn't want to get gel, you want to be careful or just know that it's going to be covered with the foil flakes, flakes. You can also do this same technique with foil. I didn't have any silver foil, but I wanted to use these flakes anyway, so any flakes that are not stuck to the page can be returned to the packet. I've removed the branding strip from the bottom of the pattern paper, and now I'm going to lay the thin strips of cardstock on top of the wider strips of cardstock. I'm using double-sided tape to do this. I generally keep 3 sizes of tape on the go at any one time. I have a 1/2 inch, a 1/4 of an inch and an 1/8 of an inch, and that way I find I've got a suitable tape for any papers. Before I attach my pattern papers, I want to add a little bit more interest to the background, so I'm going to use my Versafine Onyx black ink and this Kaisercraft clear stamp called Artie, and I'm just going to stamp randomly on the background. I'm not going to use a stamping block because I don't want like a solid print, so I'm just going to sort of roll the stamp as I'm stamping it onto the paper. So time now to start playing around with the placement of my papers. I'm going to position them so that I can still see some of my foil, and also so that I'm happy with the way the photo overlaps those strips of paper. So I'm just going to trim them down to the length that I think they should be, these paper strips, and then I'm going to attach them to my background. Once I'm happy with the placement of those pattern papers, I'm going to add my photo to the layout. Now I'm going to take a ruler and a fine tip black pen. I'm using a Mitsubishi Uniball I, and I'm using a clear ruler. This one happens to be a Tim Holtz one, but any clear ruler would do, just so I can see where the edge of the page is and I can make sure I get my line nice and straight. So I'm drawing 2 lines, one's a solid line and one is a broken line, and they're very close together. This is just creating a border around my page. Now I decided that to embellish my page I'm going to use some chipboard, and I've got this Mixed Media Fragments Retro by Gina's Designs, and I'm going to cut that up into 2 separate pieces. I decided to paint my chipboard blue, but now I look back on it, they would have been alright left raw. But anyway, I've painted them blue. I've used some pale blue, called baby blue, acrylic paint, and a soft brush to give that chipboard a couple of coats. So I wanted to add a bit of texture and interest to those pieces of chipboard, so I didn't have a dark blue, well, a dark enough blue stamp pad, ink pad, so I've mixed together some Versafine Clear Bluebell and Versafine Onyx black ink on a acrylic block, and then I'm just moving my stamp around in amongst that paint so I get a mixture on my stamp, and then I'm just stamping onto the chipboard just randomly. As I said, as last time, I didn't use an acrylic block, I just rolled it on using my fingers. You may have noticed that I have trimmed a bit more off the chipboard as well. Next step is to use my art glitter glue to attach that chipboard to my layout. Now I'm going to create my title. I've used my Kaisercraft DD700 alphabet die, and I've cut my father's name from black cardstock. I'm going to use my T ruler, my reverse tweezers and my art glitter glue to attach that underneath the photo. And for the final step for this layout, I'm going to give the title a coat of Glossy Accents. Now this goes on cloudy but dries perfectly clear. If you do get it out of the area that you want to get it in, you can use a pointy tool to scrape it up off of your layout before it dries, and I find that it does stay in place really well. So that's it for today. Thank you for being here with me to watch my video. I really love the fact that you do spend part of your day here with me, so thank you for that. And yeah, I hope you can join me when I post my next video. Okay, bye for now.